usually tell people about what is very important, or the most important thing when it comes to entrepreneurship. There are so many things. But in my own few years of study, when I've talked about books, books have helped. Somebody said, I've forgotten her name now. She said, within the pages of books, you discover that you have wings to fly. So we've read a bit, and I found out that the most successful entrepreneurs have cut across age, have cut across religion, have cut across sex, have cut across different things. So you can't say this is the one key thing that unites all entrepreneurs. Some of them have been married once, some have been married 5 times. Larry Ellison has married like 5 times, so the founder of Oracle. So if you say it is marrying one wife or being married to one wife is the secret of entrepreneurship, so how would you explain those other people? Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's good to marry 5 wives. I'm just saying that that's not the metric that unites all entrepreneurs. Some of them have PhDs. Some did not finish their first degree. Like the founder of Facebook that is now Meta, and Bill Gates and co. So if you say, okay, you have to go to school to become a successful entrepreneur, how about the people who didn't go to school? If you say you have to be a dropout, how about those that became entrepreneurs as a result of having their PhDs? The world's richest hedge fund manager is a man called James Simon. He runs Renaissance Technologies or something. He's the world's richest hedge fund manager, I think. Yeah, one of the world, I think, second or third now. He's elderly. He didn't do anything business until his PhD. He is one of the most intelligent mathematicians in the world today. Yes. And he brought his knowledge of mathematics into his hedge fund. So while the rest were hiring money managers, he was busy hiring PhDs in mathematics and what have you to run his hedge fund. And today is worth almost $20 billion or thereabout. So my point is, if you say he's been a dropout, how do you factor him in? So I've been thinking over the years or over the last few months, what is one unifying factor that unites all entrepreneurs? And like I said earlier on, it's not even about business. Napoleon, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the greatest entrepreneurs ever. Why do I say that? Read a book called Napoleon and Project Management. The writer said Napoleon executed more projects within a short period of time than any other person in history. When he took over as the Consul General of France, okay, do we know who Napoleon is? Napoleon Bonaparte. He's reckoned to be the greatest general ever. Some call him the god of war because what he accomplished in a few short years, he defeated all the world's greatest powers within a short period of time, and all of them had bigger armies than he did. In fact, it's on record that it needed a uniting of 2 or 3 strong powers to be able to defeat him, plus the force of nature. Because if not that there was winter, he would still have won all of them put together. But that's even one side. The other side is that when he took over France, France was nothing. France was gone. There was no structure, there was nothing. Within 10 years or thereabout, within 20 years, he rebuilt France to become a world power economically, while at the same time fighting wars and winning. He built structures, he built governments, he built infrastructure, he built everything within 20 years. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the greatest entrepreneurs ever. So my point is, what unites them? Some of the most successful entrepreneurs I know are pastors. Yeah. Last time I had the privilege to speak here, I shared my experience taking the young people I know to Canaan land some years back, and how we wrote to them, and we took we called it a vision tour. And it doesn't matter how you want to downplay it or look at it, it takes an unusual human being to wake up one day and tell you that God told him that the place of his headquarters is in a bush, a forest. I remember Matthew Oshimla was telling a story that, one day his friend called him and said, come, I want to show you the place where God has sent us. And they entered the car and they started driving, and they drove and drove and drove, and they got to end of Lagos State, and they kept driving, and they entered Ogun State, and they got to a place called Otta. Most people don't know that in the early stroke mid-90s, Otta was a forest. It's not what it is today. And then they were entering the forest, and he said, even though that he knew that it was his friend, so wondering, where is this guy taking me to? And then they got to one place, and he came down. All he saw was bush, and his friend, who is taller than one short man, said, here we'll have the 50,000 seater. auditorium, and then here we'll have the university, and then here we'll have this one, the secondary school, and then and he was just looking at his friend and he was wondering, I mean, imagine someone at the caliber of Pastor Matthew who has taught vision and all that for so many years, beginning to doubt what his friend was saying. But today, everything his friend said and much more, we can now see the proof of concept, the physicality. So some years back, I took some young people, we took a tour and we showed them what vision can do. So my point is, entrepreneurship it unites people, both spiritual, social, economic, just name it. And what is the one thing that I have seen in my own little experience that unites all of them? This is how I frame it. The profound unites all of them. What do I mean? Let me say it again. The profound capacity to take action. Profound meaning that it has to be many layered. Every entrepreneur I know has developed the capacity to take action. What that means is that they fail 100 times, they take action 101 times. They fail 1,000 times, they take action 1,001 times. Yeah. If you must succeed as an entrepreneur, you must develop the capacity to act. Like Ken was talking about, an idea hits you, you run with it. Because the truth is that unless you don't want to be an entrepreneur, there's only one constant in entrepreneurship. Do you know what that is? There's only one constant. It's failure. Failure is the constant X. There is no entrepreneur, and I repeat, there is no entrepreneur that would dispute that statement. The constant, like you do equations, there are variables, there are constants. The number one constant in entrepreneurship is failure. So if you don't resolve that in your heart, that you will fail, what will happen is that you will be waiting for the right time. Do you understand? And that's the problem. Because there is no right time, in a sense. When I say there's no right time, I don't mean that you just do things. No. As long as failure is concerned, there's no right time. Unless you don't want to succeed as an entrepreneur, with all your preparations, I think it was General Patton, one US general, he said no best laid plan or strategy can survive the first contact of war. It does not matter how your strategy is robust and sound and wonderful and beautiful and all your planning and all your structuring up, none of them will survive the first contact of war. Do you know why? Because war brings in an element that you cannot control. What is that element? The human element. As long as the human element is involved, all your plans, it doesn't matter how strategic and how powerful they are. That's why the world's most successful entrepreneurs have a problem with people that come and do PowerPoint. Elon Musk will tell you that. That's why he doesn't put much weight on PhD holders, MBAs. He said most of them, the best thing they know how to do is PowerPoint. He wants to see what you can do when you come on ground, when you get your hands dirty. Do you understand? When the shit hits the fan, when the chip hits the ground, what do you do? When you come there and all your PowerPoint has failed, how do you innovate? How do you pivot? How do you adjust? Any seasoned entrepreneur will tell you that. Do you understand? Because the human variable, like my brother was talking about, when he said, I laughed because, in fact, at the point I thought I was the only one. I was tempted to go and learn tailoring because tailors have disappointed me too many times. And I was like, is it in their gene that the moment you become a tailor, you must disappoint? But when he explained it, of course, I understood. There are so many things you can't factor in. I'm sure he was like, which was what drove him into, because these people don't disappoint, so let me start it. I will never disappoint. But when you enter it, you realize that there are variables you cannot control. That is the real story of entrepreneurship.